Bro, I'm telling you, I could take a tsunami.
Bro, I don't know. I don't think you could.
Dude, what are you doing?
Subscribe.
Turn notifications on.
It's only 2 clicks.
Now enjoying the video. Bro, I could take it. I
I
feel
don't
it.
think you could.
Well, well, well. If you find yourself here watching this video, that means you probably also caught Monday Night Raw tonight. Snowed in here for C2 Wrestling, Solo Sikoa tonight. Raw, off the back of Saturday night's main event, we got some fallout, we got some build to Money in the Bank, some qualifiers, some great promos, good matches. A little bit to get into tonight, but to start the show, exactly how they should have started the show. This was the biggest news coming out of Saturday for Monday Night Raw. Cody Rhodes' return is obviously massive, but we'll talk about that on Friday. For Monday Night Raw, I mean, it's none other than the big return of Big Bronson Reed. And that's how they open the show. Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed all make their way out to the ring. This newly formed stable, this newly formed faction of sorts. And Heyman cuts a promo, Rollins cuts a promo. Pretty much the who we are, why we are of this faction. And I love, love, love that Heyman especially touched on Big Bronson Reed and why Big Bronson Reed is in that faction. They went right into it. Big Bronson Reed last year went after Seth Rollins, 6 tsunamis. He did more damage to Rollins than Reigns and Punk have ever done. And that's a great point. That's a great way to sell Big Bronson Reed. And listen, you don't need to sell Big Bronson Reed. He sells himself. That guy is a monster. He is a beast. But when you got a guy like Paul Heyman on the mic, really reinforcing who Bronson Reed is, how tough he is, how scary he is, that is a volatile monster in an era of PG wrestling. That's a threat right there. Braun Breaker, Mania 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and so on. They are really selling this stable as a force to be reckoned with. And there's been a lot of talk about this being, the new evolution of sorts, or we should call it revolution. Seth Rollins, the revolutionary. I mean, it all makes sense. It all adds up. This is my favorite thing going in wrestling right now. I'll always be a Gunther stan. But this faction right here of Bronson, Braun, Seth, and Heyman is the best thing they got going in the entirety of the company right now. And there's a lot more to get into, and I'll touch on some bit more later on in the show, later on in this review, I should say. But this faction right here needs to stay as is. There was a lot of rumblings on who they're going to add. Are they going to add a third? Is there going to be another member? That's it. You add Big Bronson Reed, Heyman's the mouthpiece, 3-man stable. Not every faction needs to be 4-man. Not every faction needs to add a woman. This is where they should hold this. This is how you make this stable the most threatening version of what it can be. Is there a fourth name that could fit? Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess there's somebody out there possibly, but I don't think there's any reason to oversaturate this faction. I'm loving what I'm getting out of it so far, and I want to see it continue as is. But speaking of things I want to see continue, this rise of Penta, man. I want to see this continue. Penta is a talent that I personally have wanted in WWE for a long time now, very long time. And, it's been a few months. He's been there since January, so he's been around a little while now. And he's won some matches. He's lost a couple. He won the qualifier tonight. Penta is in Money in the Bank. Is he in contention to win the Money in the Bank? I mean, yeah, he's in the match. He very well wins it. But I don't think it's his time yet. I'm loving this rise of Penta, but they still are very much setting up like the Penta, Grande Americano, mask versus mask match, probably at SummerSlam, and I think that's where it should be. That's going to be fantastic. But I love that Penta's at least getting the spotlight. There was so much discourse over Phoenix not making his way into the match yet. You never know. But you got to give Penta the moment here. Penta's going to put on a couple, at least, great spots at a minimum. There's going to be some memorable things to come out of this Money in the Bank ladder match. And I mean, it's already pretty stacked as is. You throw a guy like Penta in there. I know there's only 2 people in the match prior to Penta winning tonight, LA and Solo, but that's already pretty fire. Anybody that's in this match can win the briefcase, and I'm going home happy so far. Now, the triple threat, Penta does beat Dragon Lee, and he does beat Chad Gable himself, in which there was a little bit of an interference. Chad Gable in the middle of the match goes out to the stands and attacks Vikingo after a very suicidal suicide dive from Dragon Lee. That was a hell of a sight to see. That one's going to be replayed for a while. But Vikingo gets attacked, so Vikingo finds himself in the match, essentially. Comes out, attacks Chad Gable as he's going for a moonsault, busts him open, kicked the hell out of him, which essentially secured Penta the win. building towards June 7th, Chad Gable versus Vikingo. Worlds collide, AAA, WWE, NXT, TNA. Who knows at this rate, but that's going to be a hell of an event. And I really love that they are using these wrestlers, Vikingo, on Raw to help promote this. I was a little fearful at first when they announced the event that they were just going to quietly announce matches and we weren't really going to get much build to it. So I love that they're actually establishing some sort of like credibility in this rivalry between Gable and Vikingo. Vikingo likely gets the win, which is fine by me. I think that is a great match for that card, and it is more so to set up the Chad Gable, or should I say, Grande Americano, Penta, mask versus mask match, as I just kind of said previously. I do also love Dragon Lee getting a little bit of a spotlight here and being in the mix. He may not have won the match, but him being involved is great for Dragon Lee. That is a hell of a talent. Again, that suicide dive. He had a beautiful power bomb in that match. Dragon Lee can absolutely go. I want to see more Dragon Lee on TV. LWO and all that. It's time to move on, I think, from this LWO stable. Ray's not even around right now, so I don't know. I think it's about time you maybe take that armband off of Dragon Lee and you can establish him a little bit better. But regardless, it was a hell of a triple threat match. I absolutely loved that match. Gable also took a very scary bump in that match when Penta had Dragon Lee on his back for a gory bomb, and then he picked Penta up for some sort of driver. That was very scary, but happy to see everybody walked away safe from that one. Terrifying spot. I gasped audibly. But following the triple threat, Rusev makes quick work of Tozawa. Not too much to touch on here, except that Sheamus makes the save. Rusev continues to attack Tozawa. Sheamus comes out. They get a little bit of a stare down. You know, it didn't hit me until this moment in the stare down. And during it, I kind of was like, man, this might be better. I thought they were going to hug it out. League of Nations style. I thought we might see Sheamus and Rusev pair up. Maybe form some sort of tag team. And Sheamus is a guy that I really want to see get that Intercontinental Championship before he goes. So I don't know if I want him too mixed up in, say, a tag team for a while. But in that moment, seeing them in the ring, like that's another formidable tag team. You have the addition of Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker now as a potential tag team. But that's a very formidable duo in Rusev and Sheamus. I don't think it goes that route. I never really thought it did. Just in that moment, it kind of hit me that it could. But no handshake, no hug. Rusev walks out. Sheamus stares him down. Probably doesn't fit Money in the Bank. Maybe gets on SummerSlam. I don't know. That match might kind of just miss the cut. I know it's a 2-day event, SummerSlam, so there's a little bit more space, but maybe it doesn't make the cut. Maybe it gets on Raw somewhere, Saturday night's main event in July. But regardless, that's another Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre type match. Two big, meaty men going at it. I'm a big fan. Let's watch that one together. Now, speaking of matches, another triple threat. This time, though, a tag team match, triple threat tag title match. The New Day defends the belts against the War Raiders, against the Creed brothers. Before the match, a little bit of promotion by Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura, some Netflix promotion, talking about wrestling. They chug some beers. Listen, I'm a big comedy guy. I love Tom. I love Burt. I think it's funny stuff. I know some people have some other things to say, but Netflix crossovers, they're going to be on the show every week. Waka Flocka Flame in the background. They showed some other people tonight. I love the involvement of like the celebrities, the athletes, and whatnot into wrestling right now. It is really bringing it back to like a late 90s type feel where wrestling is really mainstream right now. It really is. The two comedians on tonight, Burt and Tom, are two of the biggest comedians, most popular names really floating around in entertainment right now. So for them to be showing face is honestly bigger than it may seem to some. But regardless, triple threat tag team title match. Fine match. Not a whole lot to it, to be honest. I thought this match might get a little bit more time, might go a little bit longer, have a couple more spots, but still some good moments there. War Raiders lose, Creed brothers lose, New Day retain the belts. A hell of a knee by Julius Creed to Ivar. Woods gets the roll-up pin on Julius after that. A little sneaky kind of win for the New Day. Kind of fits the bill of who the New Day are. Again, they got the win over a heel team too. I didn't expect Woods to hit his finisher, the elbow. I didn't expect Kofi to hit a Trouble in Paradise and the crowd goes wild. You know, I figured New Day retains here. I thought they might get the pin on Eric. You know, you pin the face team, but they got the pin on the Creed brothers. Hopefully that adds a little bit of momentum to the Creed brothers. The goddamn it, I'm pissed off. I want gold type mentality because the Creed brothers, man, they're on the list of people that I want to hold gold soon rather than later. You know, again, this addition of the tag team of Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker adds a lot of depth to this Raw tag team roster potentially. Also rumors of maybe an upcoming draft, so who knows. But when you got a tag team like the Creed brothers floating around right now, those guys are pure talent in my opinion. and they're paired to Gable, Grande Americano, Ivy Nile, American Alpha itself. I want to see more of. American Made. I just call it American Alpha. Jesus Christ, American Made. For the rest of the show tonight, we had Jey Uso in the ring, confronted by none other than the GOAT, Gunther, who wants his World Heavyweight Championship back. A little bit of a back and forth between the two superstars. Gunther does challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship 2 weeks from tonight, Phoenix, Arizona. That is the Monday Night Raw following Money in the Bank. So that should be a big Raw. That's going to have a World Heavyweight Championship match on it. 2 days after the Money in the Bank. Very well could be a cash-in that night. I honestly don't know, but we could see that happen, especially considering the fact of how do you have Jay kind of beat Gunther again, clean? I don't think you're going to put the title back on Gunther yet. I don't know, but that's a very interesting night to have a World Heavyweight Championship match. Speaking of matches, we did also get a little bit of an impromptu singles match between Liv Morgan and Kairi Sane. Not too much to touch on there outside of the fact that Roxanne interferes to help Liv. Raquel kind of screws it up. Liv blames Raquel. Backstage, there's a segment after the fact of Liv really putting the blame on Raquel, calling her the veteran. There's a segment between the Judgment Day backstage even before this matchup, and Finn is just loving the Roxanne involvement. The beef between Dom and Liv, the beef between Liv and Raquel. Finn's got a smirk from ear to ear. It looks like the Joker out there. It's incredible to see. And then speaking of Finn, he's also then involved in tonight's main event, Money in the Bank qualifier, triple threat. Been loving the triple threat qualifiers, by the way. I know I just touched on the one earlier. They've been in all these reviews for the last week or two. The triple threat qualifier just hits different than a one-on-one qualifier for some reason. Been loving them all being triple threats. But Finn Balor takes on Seth Rollins, who takes on Sami Zayn. Main event of tonight ends in destruction, if you want to call it that. Seth Rollins does pull out the victory after a chair gets slid into the ring by Dom, Dirty Dom Mysterio. He gets a curb stomp. Finn Balor gets a curb stomp onto the chair by Seth. Seth gets the win. That is after Bronson and Braun Breaker came out and interfered as well. Seth Rollins, two-time Mr. Money in the Bank. I mean, this might be the most likelihood of somebody becoming a two-time Money in the Bank holder since CM Punk did it way back in the day. I still think at Money in the Bank, Punk probably screws Rollins to some degree, and that extends their feud. Probably one more singles match between the two guys, Seth and Punk, at SummerSlam. I've been kind of saying I want Seth versus Jay at SummerSlam. I want Seth to take that world title off Jay. But it seems like they're kind of setting up for Punk versus Seth. Unless that gets booked, Saturday night's main event in July. I know there's a Night of Champions coming up as well. I don't know. I don't know where it fits the bill, but it seems like that's the route. Seth probably gets screwed in the Money in the Bank ladder match. But by the one guy that came out tonight and got him, CM Punk. Nobody thought he was there. He ends up showing up tonight on Monday Night Raw to a great pop. Ends the show with CM Punk standing tall. Gets a fast one over this newly formed faction of Seth, Braun, and Braun Breaker. Jey Uso makes an appearance as well. It's madness. This main event scene on Monday Night Raw is pretty hot right now. I know there's a lot of things in wrestling right now that are a little bit you know. This John Cena title run's maybe not holding up to everyone's expectations, but this Raw World Heavyweight title picture, I don't know what more to ask for, really. You got the top guys in the business all involved right now. It's something fresh with Braun, Bronson, and Seth. CM Punk is over as can be. Sami Zayn is over as can be, who got confronted by Karrion Kross. There's still a little bit of involvement there. So many storylines are just getting tangled together in a good way with this Raw main heavyweight division. I'm loving every second of it. Very much looking forward to Tuesday, tomorrow's NXT. Looking forward to Friday Night SmackDown. Next week, Money in the Bank. Cannot wait. You guys got to stay subscribed to C2 Wrestling. Turn those notifications on. You guys are going to get full match reactions, live reviews, all sorts of stuff coming out of C2 Wrestling. And don't worry, I know I've been solo Sokoa for a little bit, but CTD is going to return. Just got to keep on watching. C2 Wrestling, baby.